Recording in progress.
Did you push record? Thanks. Okay, we'll get started with our meeting tonight. This is our meeting for West Haven City Council meeting. My name's Mayor Rob Vanderwood, and I will be conducting this meeting tonight, and also just walking through and calling this meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, March 6th, of 2024, and it is 6:06. We're a little late coming out of our other meeting, so thank you for your patience. We'll get started with our opening ceremonies. We'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Call and our prayer or moment of silence by Councilmember Dixon.
Please stand and repeat the pledge.
Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, as we meet tonight as a city council, we are so grateful for the many blessings that we have. We're grateful for our city and for those who protect and serve us. We're grateful for our residents and ask Thee to bless us that as we make decisions that we will be able to consider them and make the best decision possible. Again, we are grateful for our freedoms, for those who protect and serve us, and we say this in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
All right, thank you very much, Councilmember Call and Councilmember Dixon. We'll move on to item number 3 on here for public presentation. Residents attending this meeting will be allotted 2 minutes to express a concern or ask a question about any issue that is not on the agenda. No action can or will be taken on any issue that is presented. Do we have anyone that would like to come forward at this time? Come on up. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Dan Shear. I live at 4721 South, 4500 West here in West Haven. I am planning or would like to build an adjacent structure to my home, which my wife and I were planning on living in. It would be a barn dominium, actually. The problem is that the setbacks are conflicting with what we would like to do. My lot is wide and narrow, and so there's really no place in the back to put anything. It's all adjacent to my home. And one of the issues that I have heard about is that there is a 5-foot setback from the front of my home that any additional dwelling would have to be. And because of that, that would cause restrictions for any backspace behind this building. And I was hoping that I would be able to follow the current 30-foot from the beginning of from the edge of the road to the beginning of the unit. And that's what I am concerned about. If that would be possible to allow something like that. Again, if I had a deep lot, that wouldn't be an issue, but because my home is sitting in such a narrow lot that trying to keep that pushed back 5 feet behind the front of the house would be a real problem for me. So that is my concern that I wanted to address and hope that it would be acceptable to all. Also, the height of the building, because it would be an 80 by 60 foot structure, we're looking to build a kind of like have cathedral ceiling in the second story, which is where the living space would be. And to be restricted to a 25-foot height would be really contrary to what my wife and I would like to see in place. So we were hoping that it would remain at 35 feet from the ground. So I appreciate your allowing me to share my thoughts, and I don't know if you have any questions for me, but.
I think, did you have a question?
Dan, just for clarification, you're on an acre lot, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it a builder's acre. I think it's like 0.9 something. AG1, I think, or something like that.
A1.
Might be A1.
I think that's,
I think a recommendation I would make is maybe trying to get with our planner over here. She's right there. And maybe trying to meet with her. Of course, we're going through some changes on a few things, but that's more of a residence than just an accessory building. So maybe you could help us with that, and the city manager can maybe help if there's any questions with that.
yes, I've had some conversation with her, and she's been very instructive and helpful, but
Okay.
I will have further conversations with her.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that, and thanks for bringing it to the attention of the council. We'll see if there's anything else that needs to be done with that after some more conversation happens. So thank you.
Thank you all
Appreciate it.
very
Thanks.
much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mr.
your
Scheer.
service, by the way.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Is there any others that would like to come forward at this time? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, City Council of West Haven. My name is Rachel Rhodes, and my address is 2852 West, 3975 South, number 37D, West Haven, Utah 84401.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I am aware I have 2 minutes, so I'll be as quick as possible. I'll just start with a question. Is there a reason why we have to have the Weber County sheriffs respond to domestic violence cases? Or can there be someone else that responds?
Well, I don't know from the council side if there's that type of question, but that's what we have police services for.
They beat me up.
The city doesn't respond to those directly.
Yeah, but they beat me up. And then this year, my husband beat me up twice more, but I couldn't call him because they put a bag over my head and all these chains on me and strapped me in half, and I called them for help.
Okay.
So I don't feel safe calling the police, but I should have called them twice more this year because I don't deserve to be choked out and stuff. That's not right. And I love my husband, and we've been together 27 years, and I'm not leaving him. And there's been lots of domestic violence throughout the years. And the last time I got charged with assault, I was sentenced to 16 weeks of victims counseling. And then this time when the police came, and after I called them and they arrested me, I had to plead guilty to assaulting police officers because I resisted arrest. And I ended up in jail for 4 days, and I couldn't eat anything in there because I have celiac disease, so I can't eat gluten. And I was coming off my meds, and I had a really hard time in there, and I called them for help, and I feel like they tried to murder me in my front yard, and they laughed. They're like, ha, 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 she's okay. She's not dead. You called us, remember? They were so mean to me, and if I call the police, I want somebody else, please, to show up, not those guys.
Well, I apologize, and I'm sorry for your situation. Unfortunately, here, the city contracts with Weber County Sheriff's Department. So if the police are called, that's typically who would show
So
up
I
in
can't
West Haven.
call them. That resource is gone from me.
Well,
Right?
they're available.
No, not if they try to kill you. They tried to kill me in my front yard. They put a bag over my head. They put me in full restraints. I passed out. They did 2 separate chest rubs on me to try to wake me up. They didn't take the bag off my head. Oh no. These awful burning motions. And then they strapped me in half. Like I was a threat after I'm all chained up. And even one of the police reports says my wrists were bleeding. Those guys thought I was treating them with disrespect after I had a concussion from my husband hitting me.
Well,
How am I supposed to call the cops? What am I
Ms. Rose,
supposed to do?
so thank you for coming, but there isn't much that the city council can do at this meeting. And so I'm sorry.
I know that
we
you
can't.
said that, but is there anything you can discuss in the future? You said there's nothing you can do at this meeting, but can you tell the sheriff his people are out of line, beating up abused
we do
women
have
who
a-
are half
we do have a
naked and
representative
crippled
here.
and call for help?
We do have a representative here that takes care of that type of
Well,
conversation.
I would like to speak to the victim's advocate who was in charge of my case.
Well, the city can't help you with that right now, but I appreciate you coming in and talking
you?
to us. Well, there's some things the city council can't address, and that's
But who
one
am
of
I
them.
supposed to go to? Sorry, but who am I supposed to address with an issue like this?
Well, I'll have you talk to the sheriff here for a second.
Oh, no,
please.
thank you. He might beat me up too.
I don't think he will. He's a great guy, but thank you for coming in.
I'm afraid of him, so
Okay.
thank you all. How pleasant. I hope you all never get beat up by your spouses.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward with our next item on here, our upcoming events. We have our senior lunch bunch that is March 27th of 2024, and it is at 11:30 a.m. It's a great group, and we've had some really good turnout, probably our highest turnouts we've ever had recently. So we also have our Easter egg hunt, March 30th of 2024 at 9 a.m. Looking forward to a bunch of kids being involved with that, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. Last
And
year was
we're
great.
crossing our fingers for good weather this year. We don't want to be waiting in the rain or
Yeah,
snow.
that was a little tough last year,
It was
but it
very
was still good. We have our dumpster days coming up, April 18th, 2024. From April 18th to April 20th. And I know that's been very super popular for everybody to get involved with. We also have our Utah League of Cities and Towns, our mid-year conference that's coming up on April 17th through the 19th, which is over one of our council evenings. So we will not have our council meeting that night. We'll be down in St. George getting some training. So we're looking forward to that as well. Is there any other upcoming events the council may have?
I guess I would just say that the art committee settled on September 21st for the art festival. So save the date.
Thank you. We'll get that on our next one on here. It's coming up.
Is it called an art festival? Did we change that name last year to something different?
No, the art committee decided this year they want to move forward and call it an art festival
Festival.
instead of the evening of art.
Okay.
It was
that's,
more,
okay. That's right.
Festive.
right, just more understanding that it's more than just kind of an art gallery, because you kind of get that
Exactly.
with the evening of art. So moving forward, that's what we would like to do.
Thank you.
They would like to do.
Okay. Anything else from the council? Okay, let's move on to item 5, our council updates. Any updates from the council on anything any committees or anything?
Just beautification committee is going to start back up here on the 11th. We'll be meeting at 5:30 and kind of discussing the upcoming year.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to our item number 6, our action on our consent agenda. Item A is our strategic plan, city council minutes that was held on February 15th of 2024. Item B was city council minutes, our meeting held on February 21st of 2024. We also have item C on here for Nielsen Homes for $115,843.81 for funds for our community center that was released. Is there any questions or concerns on the consent agenda?
I just have one minor correction on the West Haven City Strategic Plan Council meeting minutes. On the first page there, where it says Councilmember Saunders asked for building updates every 3 months, I'd like to correct that to say financial updates.
I will fix that.
Okay, thank you. Any other changes on that?
I don't know that it matters so much, but on the regular agenda, the advice and consent, item 9, Julie Rose's name is spelled Julee. I don't think it's critical, but
I will also fix that.
that's how you spell it. Different than the normal, so.
Yeah, thanks for that correction. Okay, if there's no others, I'm open for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda A, B, and C.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council on the consent agenda? All right, we'll do a roll call. Councilmember Call?
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab?
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders?
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon?
Aye.
And Councilmember Morse?
Aye.
Okay. We have a consent on that for sure. So thank you. That passes, motion carries. Let's move on to, can we make a change on here? Because we do have a guest here. If we could make a change on the agenda to move over to our discussion item that we missed on our update on bleachers at the Kenneth R. Baldwin Country Park. Would the council be okay if we made a change on that?
I think that's a good idea. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so we'll move to that, if that's okay. Would you like to go ahead with that?
Yes, thank you for accommodating the agenda change.
As you recall, several council meetings ago, the council made a motion directing city staff to move forward with getting a bid for the bleachers. And the hope is that we would be able to hit the timing such of getting those bleachers installed by West Haven City Days. And so we did want to give you an update on what's transpired and what city staff is trying to do. So before you'll see a slide that outlines some of the efforts of city staff to meet that objective of the city council. And the individual who's primarily been coordinating has been Emily, and we appreciate Emily for reaching out. But you can see there's been multiple times where we've had email communication, and per the council's request, we did send a purchase order on October 18th to purchase those. We've had verbal communications, but we've really found the vendor to be non-responsive in providing the information that we need in order to formalize the acquisition and also to put the bid together, which was the subject of the motion. So the next column talks about the timeline. And this is what we project. And there is sort of this drop dead date of March 7th in order for everything to fall in line perfectly to meet that objective of trying to have these bleachers ready to be used for West Haven City Days. And really what's lacking from the vendor to be able to do this is to have the signed plans in order for Ryan to put that bid together, that bid package. So we do have Ryan here, and he can speak to sort of what's needed. And Emily could also talk to you more specifically about some of the communication and maybe the lack of response from the vendor.
Yeah, I guess just to speak to what Sean's indicating, we were really obviously just key component of the RFP is a the installation component of what the bidders will be asked to install. To this point, and Emily may be able to speak a little bit to this in terms of we have not received that, therefore have not put that out yet. In terms of slating that timeline down of when if we were to receive that, and then their projected 10 to 12 week delivery, there's some concern about the timing that a responsive bidder would have to install those, and so that really just wanted to have a conversation about it and make sure that you're up to date on it from this point moving forward, and be able to answer any questions from there. There's one component on, I wasn't part of the discussion, but in terms of anchoring mechanism, whether we're open to bidding a concrete pad versus just an alternative anchoring system. Depending on where we go with this, it may be important to get some feedback on that, just so we can make sure that we're responsive to your concerns. So I don't know if there's anything else to add to that, Emily, Sean, based on our conversation, but open for questions and comments from there, so that we can make sure we move forward in a direction that you would like.
Yeah. And let me just turn to Emily and ask if she's had any further communication since you put the slide together.
No, Erica hasn't sent me the updated plans or anything since I put the slide together.
Okay. So,
Okay.
I thought I understood that we were going to miss West Haven Days no matter what. I thought that's something we had all understood, that we missed the window, but let's still get this done.
okay.
Anybody else's understanding?
I remember that as well. I remember thinking that we weren't going to be able to make it, but it kind of concerns me that they're not getting back. I don't know. Does that concern anyone that they'll be able to, I don't know, deliver what they say they're going to?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Have we ordered them from them?
No.
No. Okay.
We have
So
given them a purchase order. We have added the auger anchors to it. It's an additional $2,000, well, a little bit less than $2,000, but we haven't done the official order for it because they won't provide plans.
Okay. And that was because the plans that they sent over were set up for the non-raised ones, right? Correct? Does that all make sense?
I probably should have explained that a little more detail. The plans that we did receive were not, not correct. I'll just put it that way. They were a non-rise bleacher, and there was just some concern that we wanted to make sure that we're not, asking for something that we're not receiving, and there was concern there. So to the point of non-responsiveness, I mean, there is, we had a meeting with Brock, was involved in this meeting, and obviously that is a concern. There was some possibility of looking for some, alternative suppliers, but we didn't want to do that, and hinder, delay that any further if that's the direction of the council. So that was the concern.
How you feeling, council, about the?
I think if it's not, if we're not too far down the road, if we have the ability to look at other vendors, that we should. That'd be my vote, because we're probably not going to make it anyway. So maybe we get somebody that wants our business,
Yeah, I mean, I would anticipate that Ryan, instead of doing an RFP for installation, could include, putting a plan together for bleachers. I guess it'd be more of a request for proposal or a bid. How would you classify that if we were going to do something?
Yeah, and I think in talking to Brock, if that's and I want to be careful, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think and you guys can speak up if you feel like I'm misspeaking here, but his thought was, maybe if that's the direction of the council, that he could take that on in terms of vetting. There's one particular individual that he's spoken with about, I think it was included in the staff report a few meetings ago, but about the possibility of, they're more of a one-stop supplier installer, and looking down that avenue for a solution here. That was where he thought. And so back to your question, Sean, I think his thought was there'd be an initial discussion there about what that might look like, and then probably an RFP of some sorts built off of that, that might be tailored to a provider and an installer, if that's an option, so that we're not, I guess, getting down here again where we're having a supplier that maybe is not performing or fulfilling what we anticipated them to do.
So when's the last day that we actually spoke with someone? Was it the March 1st? The verbal communication? Is that?
And can you speak to when you spoke to Erica last?
It would be March 5th.
So that was just a day ago.
What was can you help us with the conversation where it went?
It was the same conversation we had before, which was, these plans are not the correct ones. We ordered elevated bleachers. We need you to supply us with the updated ones for the actual product that we ordered. And she said, I will talk to the warehouse and get back to you.
Okay. I wonder if we would be better off getting in touch with Tony, the installer,
Maybe.
versus Erica. Only because he installs them. He should have access to those engineered plans, I would think.
Well, the plans that we got were from Tony. Erica got them specifically from him. So, we could reach out to Tony too. I think
I
it's
don't know.
worth it.
I'm just thinking out loud here, I guess, because we got to come up with a solution on this. If we're not going to get them done for West Haven Days, it takes pressure off by trying to see what we're going to get done. Of course, I think we'd all like to see bleachers, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But we've got to try and figure out the direction. What does the council feel like? Any options that you think we should recommend? Just one at a time, please, not two.
Said my piece.
We are so close to that finish line. I would like to hopefully speak to someone else other than the one we're talking to, or get angry with them on the phone, something. But we're so close. We already.
I'd like to see if Emily could get angry on the phone.
That's it. Sean, you're in charge. Get angry. I would love for them just to get us the right plans and ship them out. It sounds like we're getting them on the phone. We just need to maybe get someone else on the phone too.
That doesn't seem like a delay to me. It seems like we could order our product, still have it shipped to us, but we're just still waiting for just a simple plan to anchor.
Yeah, just from the standpoint of my involvement, obviously we were trying to help put the RFP out, and the difficulty with getting the actual plan kind of led to this discussion, and then obviously this update.
Because literally, aren't we waiting for 3 feet of cable extension on the anchor? That not?
We're just waiting for the formalized plan set that was ordered so that can go out in the bid, and that's the anchoring system. Sure, is a portion of it, but mostly the structure itself. I want to make sure
from the ground level, it's still secured the same way, but it's just taller off the ground, so your cable is going to be longer. Is that? Well, am I incorrect?
The plan was the non-rise bleacher that they submitted.
Right.
When we were going to put that out to bid, and then it came to the discussion, well, this isn't the bleacher we ordered. And so that led to the discussion about, I wasn't aware, and then realized that that's not a rise bleacher. I'm learning some things about bleachers here, frankly.
Be an expert, don't worry.
So anyway, I agree with you. Small component, making sure that we can get the correct plans was key to getting correct costs. That's led to this discussion.
So we do have the correct plans, but they do not. No, we actually do, but they don't show the the earth anchors. They show actually attaching to a concrete pad. So those drawings, I would assume, still would work. The original drawings that we had, because those are the raised bleachers.
She wasn't even sure. When I talked to her about it again yesterday, she said, I see your point. It says non-elevated here. You ordered an elevated product. So she can't even confirm to me whether or not those are the correct plans. That's why she had to talk to the warehouse.
Have you seen the elevated drawings that we currently have?
I
Because it
think
would
I know
just
what you're
change it
talking
deep.
about. I think I had seen what I received was and again, I don't want to
The
beat a
wrong
dead horse, but was the non-elevated, and I think there was a sheet in the previous agenda packet that showed more what you're describing. In discussion with Brock, there was one that was going to be an ADA structure, and there was one that was not going to be an ADA structure.
Correct.
And we didn't have plans for the two. That plan set that I saw as part of that package just included the ADA. So wanted to make sure we got both in there.
So we have both full sets of plans for the one with the ADA ramp and one without for the raised bleachers. We've had those since last fall sometime.
We have.
We
Okay.
have them. The
Okay.
only difference is the anchoring component, which would just be a different detail on the drawing, right? That's what we're lacking to be put on.
But we did receive the anchor engineering. It just was for the wrong size bleacher.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we're spinning in circles here.
I would agree with that to some extent, and I
So
you know,
if they're unable to, does that worry anyone or cause any lack of confidence that if we can't even get the right plans for the right bleachers, that we're going to get everything that we ordered and that it's going to be correct when we get it? I just think we ought to check out another vendor and see if their pricing's close, and if we're not going to make it, we have time to do that. So I don't understand why we'd want to go with somebody that's that incompetent.
I think you're right, except for, I think the time frames, even, for the extended time frame. So you've got another vendor, I think it's in Colorado. This one's out of, is it Illinois or someplace like that? Is it some?
Not sure on that one.
Yeah, but there's one in Colorado and there's another one back east somewhere. And so because we've waited to this point now, they get a lot of orders for bleachers now. So I think it'll just push us, quite a ways out probably in getting them. But I would say just recommend that we give it one more good push and let's see if we can get the right plans and get them ordered. And if they don't get them to us by our next council meeting, then it's too late anyway for West Haven Days. So we may look at another vendor. Thoughts on that?
I would concur with that. Looking at the communications, if I'm understanding it correctly, since we made the motion to go get the RFP, order the plans, it's been less than a week that we've been trying to get them on the phone. So I don't know that it's been that long to make the assumption that we need to ditch them and find a new vendor. I think we just need to make sure that someone's not on vacation, we get the right person on the phone. So I would hope that we keep going with that approach.
Do you have Tony's number by chance?
I do not.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
All right. Does that sound okay with the council? Any other recommendations?
I agree with Councilmember Swap. I think that it's too early to just discount the work that's already been done. I'd like to see us, call Tony and see if we can get those plans. And then if not, then we discuss next step, since we're already going to miss West Haven Days.
Okay.
Super.
Okay.
Anything else?
Clear as mud?
That's what we wanted. We just want to make sure. So yeah, I think we'll work together closely and make that happen. And if that is not the case, the next meeting you'll find out. So, is that fair? Okay.
Thank you, Ryan.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks for allowing us to sway a little bit there to get that taken care of so he can be gone. All right, let's move on to item 7 on here, action on Planning Commission meeting recommendations. This is for item A as our final subdivision approval for Salt Point West Subdivision Amendment, approximately 4,000 south and 3550 west. The parcel number is listed. This is with McKenna Christensen with CW Land Development Co.
Hi, Hi, McKenna Christensen with CW Land, address 610 North, 800 West Centerville.
Thank you.
Purpose of this subdivision is to carve off around a 1 acre lot so that we can sell that lot to Mountain America Credit Union. They want to build a branch there. The remaining land, not approved for development, but we are talking with a few larger retail users to go in that space. Do you have any questions?
Was this the one that we thought was going to be Panda Express?
No,
No, this is west of Panda
Okay,
Express. Panda
perfect.
Express is still going there.
this is just east of the canal, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which credit union was it? Mountain?
Mountain America.
I think that's wonderful.
But that fell through, is that what I heard? Or,
Panda Express?
no, the America First, or was it?
No, so Mountain
Oh,
America
sorry,
wants
Mountain
to buy
America.
this lot that we're reviewing tonight.
Sorry, I confused you there.
Okay.
That was my fault.
Yeah, so they're under contract. We're set to close with them in less than 30 days.
Okay,
So,
for this particular spot?
yeah, for this lot.
Okay.
And then Panda Express was a separate lot that we approved a few months ago, and they're still gonna be going there.
Okay, sounds good. Council, any questions on this particular one? Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
So sorry. So, actually, it's listed wrong on the agenda. This is not an amendment. It's a new commercial subdivision.
A new commercial subdivision.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe why there was a little bit of confusion, because there was 2 last year, also for Salt Point. So this is for a different property
So it was listed incorrectly?
on the agenda.
Does that mean we got to can it?
So we'll have to, they'll have to come back.
Could we just amend it on the agenda, or?
Just to be publicly
The problem
noticed
was
correctly?
it wasn't noticed up correctly.
I see.
So we need to table it then,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, we were so ready to, we were.
2 weeks then.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Sorry about that.
I'll move to table the final subdivision on. Or
Second.
I'll just say, move to table action on planning commission meeting recommendations, item 7. How's that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the tabling of this? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries to table.
Can I just ask a question? Is that something that they were hoping to move on quickly?
That they are?
Yeah. Do we know?
I thought she said 3 days, but that's gonna change, I guess, because we have to approve it.
I heard her say 30 days in her remarks as far as the closing date. So the hope is that we'd be able to still meet that deadline by re-advertising and having it ready.
Okay, does that answer it?
Yeah, I just wondered if that was something they wanted to do quicker, that it would be a simple special meeting that we can just approve that. Notice it like a week. Is it a week advance notice? 24 hours. Actually, it only has to be 24 hours. So
Right.
I just want to make that happen for them and not put them out and they're like, oh, well, maybe not. The city isn't very amenable to what we want to do.
Yeah,
So-
can we, Alika, could we just check with McKenna and find out if it's faster than the time that she needs to, just so we can accommodate that?
What do you mean about coming back in the 2 weeks?
Yeah, we were just talking about it. So overall, if we need to come back quicker for her, the council would be willing to do a special meeting if we needed to.
Okay, yeah, I can
Okay,
talk to her
if
about
it's,
it.
if it's not necessary, we'll do it in 2 weeks, but we want to accommodate, like, I think that's a good choice.
It's really easy.
Yeah, it's nothing too
It's
complex.
just a Zoom meeting, basically, if we needed to.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Can you
sounds
check
good.
with her, please? Thank you. All right, let's move on to item 8, public hearing for the purpose of receiving public input on using American Rescue Plan Act funds for the law enforcement in the amount of $1,812,278 in the general fund. And I think before we go into public hearing, maybe just get an update on that, if that's okay.
Sure. So as you know, during the pandemic, the federal government gave to municipalities and other entities funds to help them through that challenging time. Those funds came with some requirements relative to how quick we needed to spend them, and we are approaching that deadline by the end of this calendar year. I've heard the councils expressed a desire to potentially use those funds in a meaningful way to do some type of capital project, which may or may not be known at this present time. So in order to satisfy the requirements of the grant, there is an allowance that would allow the city to essentially identify the expense and expend those funds, so we could identify the expense and report that identification of the expense, so we could recognize the revenue, because right now it's on a liability sheet in the general fund. And then once those two steps occur, as the budget continues, we can essentially amend the budget and transfer that 1.8 million into a capital project fund, and to put on the capital project fund balance sheet an assignment that would require the city's council authorization, for that to be used for a specific purpose. I believe in your staff report or in your packet, there's a more detailed explanation along with an example of what that fund balance sheet looks like, and where you would be able to track those funds being transferred over.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, for that. That just helps the public understand what the purpose is on here. Is there any other comments from you guys before we go into public hearing?
I just wondered, Sean, what will that be titled? Is there, it'll go right there, but what?
Well, I think I have it in quotation marks. It'll be something to the effect of
Special
special
assigned to
project.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, if there's no other concerns or questions on here,
We're sure that it can be done that way and qualify.
Yes, I've been visiting with Ryan Childs about it. He'll be the one who reports to the state the expense, and we believe those administrative rules relative to the grant will allow just what we're proposing to be done. So yes.
Thanks.
okay, I'm ready for a motion to move into public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Okay, we'll move forward with our public hearing. If anyone would like to come up on that at this time. Okay, seeing none, we'll move out of public hearing. I'll need a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, and any further discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and move forward with that. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're back in our regular meeting again. So the next item on the agenda is action on public hearing, action on resolution 06-2024 on using American Rescue Plan Act funds for law enforcement in the amount of $1 million, $812 and $278. Even he's start over with that one. $1,812,278. How's that sound? Is that
Great.
better?
That'll do.
Okay. In this general fund. All right. Any concerns and questions on this? We're open to the council.
I just have a question. Under section 2, resolve number 3. We list the exact amounts in 1 and 2, and then 3 says approximately 1,812. Is there a reason we don't put the 278 there?
No, I think you could make that. I would say this though, relative to the budget that we're currently in, that was not prepared. I was not a part of that preparation or the administration, so I am trying to get up to speed. I know there were several discussions about using those funds in different ways, so I'm assuming that all those funds are available to be transferred and that they haven't been expended, and I think that's what the accounting report shows, and I'm hoping that there's no other planned expense with those funds, so that might be why I put more of an approximate number down there.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion items?
So I guess the question would be, do we do the 1.812 or do we do the more specific number?
I think you could do the more specific number. Sometimes too with budgets, I'll just round because it's just easier. But you can certainly include the specific number.
You-
All right.
You might want to just leave the approximate for the reasons that Sean explained, because you guys have expended money, like with the riverbank stabilization and like with, what was the other?
Generator.
The generator, and just in case, used approximately because of that. Just because.
All right, I will make a motion that we approve Resolution 06-2024 on using the American Rescue Plan Act funds in the amount of 1.812 approximately. 1,812,000
In the general fund.
in the general fund. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this resolution? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this. I think we've got everything down that we need on this. Councilmember Dixon?
Aye.
Councilmember Morse?
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab?
Aye.
Councilmember Call?
Aye.
And Councilmember Saunders?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries to do so. Thank you for your work on this, Sean, and we'll get some action into this project as soon as we can. Item 10 on here is for a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public input on an ordinance regarding streets and public rights of way, maintenance, obstructions, excavation, and restoration. And is that our engineer, Ed?
Getting close to the end. I've discussed this ordinance a couple of times at work session. It first actually came up when we were doing the consolidated fee schedule, because we had found that our previous existing ordinance did not really take into account of all the different variations that may be required for a road excavation permit. And those fees had not been updated since 1998. So we adjusted that when we did the consolidated fee schedule. In discussions over the past few months between Scott, Robin, Sharice, and myself, we were looking through the ordinance, and there was just a lot of lack of clarity in terms of procedures, and and no specifics in terms of how we really want our streets to be repaired in the event that they're opened by a contractor. So a lot of this is a lot more technical jargon in here, but it's more to make sure that we can actually direct contractors to repair the streets to the way we think they should be done. It also allows us to hold a maintenance bond, which most cities usually do for road excavations, because typically it takes several months for them to settle, and sometimes you can't get them to come back and fix it. So we're able to hold money now in case they don't come back, and we can repair it for that. It also goes into, again, more clarity in terms of what was meant by obstructions in the right-of-way. What happens if there's private improvements that are in the right-of-way, how the city would handle them. And I just think it's a more orderly way for us to address some of these issues, whether it's through public works, and even some of this goes back to code enforcement. So I think with the input that we got from Sharice, Robin, and Scott, I think we got a pretty comprehensive ordinance, and I think it'll serve us well in the future.
Okay, thank you again for that explanation. Council, do you have any questions for Ed? If not, I'm ready for a motion. Actually, we got to go into public hearing.
That would be good.
So let's go into public hearing on this. Overall, I think, did I read this already? Public hearing for the purpose of receiving public input for this ordinance regarding streets and public rights of way of maintenance, obstructions, excavation, and restoration.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other further discussion on this? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we'll move into our public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to come forward this time? Seeing none, we'll move forward with moving out of our public hearing back to our council meeting. Can I get a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're back in our regular session. So we'll move on to item 11, action on public hearing, action on ordinance for 06-2024, an ordinance regarding streets, public rights of way, and maintenance, obstructions, excavations, and restoration. Any further discussion on this? If not, I'm ready for,
Fascinating reading.
it is really good.
I'll tell you what.
But it gives us some good things to move back on getting things taken care of. So it's really good stuff.
Learned that steel plates have to be laid in certain directions, and it was super fun. Just saying.
We know you love it a lot. I would make a motion then to approve ordinance 06-2024, an ordinance regarding streets and public rights of way, maintenance, obstructions, excavations, and restoration.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Okay, we'll move into our roll call on here. Let's do, I'll make sure we got everything on here. Councilmember Dixon?
Aye.
Councilmember Morse?
Aye.
Councilmember Call?
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab?
Aye.
And Councilmember Saunders?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda is item 12, action on resolution 07-2024 for interlocal agreement between Weber County and West Haven City for solid waste disposal. I think when we were going through this process, we had some challenges that we needed to deal with. At first, we wanted to make sure that Ogden City was signed on this agreement because of the size of Ogden City and the responsibility that it had, being one of the bigger entities in Weber County. Second, I think on here, West Haven was between city managers at the time, and we wanted to make sure that the city manager was involved with this particular contract. And then there was not at the time a timeline that was set on this particular one. So we're glad to get this taken care of. The city has at least moving forward for agreeance on this, and I think it would be a good interlocal agreement to have. Is there any questions from the council and comments you'd like to make?
I noticed in the staff report it said that it's I think it says it's an interlocal agreement, and then in the agreement it says it's not an interlocal agreement, and so I was just curious about that. And then one of the other questions that I had was on the automatic renewal. It looks like the expiration is December 31st, 2024. And if we want to opt out of this is probably a question for Amy. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. We would need to give 6 months notice.
That is correct.
And if we don't, it will renew for 2 years. Is that correct?
That is, okay. Yes and no. So it'll renew for 2 years, but you can opt out. You can ask to have it terminated at any time during that 2 years by giving 6 months. So you have two different things going on. One.
So really, the longest we are locked in is 6 months.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Where does it say to you it's not an interlocal?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
That's in section 4, item C.
Yeah, it's page 4 of the interlocal agreement. It's a maximum of 12 years.
Right. I thought you were saying it says it's not an interlocal agreement somewhere in here.
In section 4, item C, it says, since this agreement does not establish an interlocal entity, so I was a little confused. It doesn't say agreement, it says entity.
Yeah, there's
I guess
this
that's
is an interlocal agreement, but the thing is, it's not
a unit or?
Yeah, they're not creating a board.
Okay.
So like, like with the special service district, you have a board of all the different members who sign. This is not that.
That
This
makes
is
sense to
just
me.
every single city is contracting individually, with an interlocal agreement, and it's not creating a board. It's just, this is what we're all agreeing to.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm open for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 07-2024, the interlocal agreement between Weber County and West Haven City for solid waste disposal.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Okay, let's do a roll call on this. Councilmember Call?
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon?
Aye.
Councilmember Morse?
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab?
Aye.
And Councilmember Saunders?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, and we'll get that information over to the county so they have that listed. Moving on to item 13 on here, action on ordinance 07-2024, an ordinance adopting a temporary land use regulation regarding cluster subdivisions and planned residential unit developments. Would you like to go ahead with that, Sean?
We received a request from Councilmember Schwab to put together in draft form an ordinance that would enact a temporary land use, and the land use would be essentially restricting. And I'll let Councilmember Schwab, if you're okay with that, Mayor, speak more specifically to it.
Yeah, so we've had lots of discussions of bonus density in different areas of the city, and I learned that we could do this particular approach because it seems that conversation continues to drag out and we don't have any action. And I know the Planning Commission is now working on it. We discussed that, but this stops any permitting in areas that would have bonus density until the Planning Commission looks at it and then provides us with a recommendation. So that's why I put this request forward.
I thought that request essentially happens the minute you put it on an agenda.
Yes, I did too.
It's more complicated than that. You have to actually have under 10-9A 509, there's more to it than that. And so the only way to really deal with this is if you do a moratorium.
Do we have current applications?
No. So that's why it was a little complicated to come up with the countervailing,
Ambiguity? Is
the
that the word?
compelling and countervailing public interest. So
Do we feel like we have that?
what? A compelling and countervailing interest. The reason why Alaka had brought up the cluster subdivision issue to begin with is because of an ambiguity in our language regarding whether or not it applied to just A1 and A2 or whether or not it possibly could apply elsewhere. So is there some vagueness? Yeah. Do I hate moratoriums? Yes, I do, because you guys have a really hard time, and so does the Planning Commission, staying within that 180 days, because if you pass this, you have to fix it within the 180 days, because you are affecting property rights.
Well, we want it to go much faster than 180 days.
I just know that with the patio home ordinance, Exhibit A, if you remember, it went up almost right to the 180 days.
Yeah, but we got it done.
Right, we did. I'm just saying that's the big reason I don't like moratoriums is because
We know
it complicates things. But do we have the ability to do it because of that vagueness of language? I could defend it.
Awesome.
But again, I hate them.
Council have any questions?
I think it's a great idea, actually.
Awesome.
You want to make a motion?
You should.
Is it okay with you? I would love to make a motion. I would like to Make a motion to approve ordinance 07-2024, an ordinance adopting a temporary land use regulation regarding cluster subdivisions and planned residential unit developments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, let's just do a roll call on this one as well. Councilmember Schwab.
Aye.
Councilmember Call.
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders.
Nay.
Councilmember Dixon.
Aye.
And Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Okay, this is covered and taken care of, but thank you for your votes on that. Appreciate that, and we'll just hope that the Planning Commission can help work and get us a document on this as soon as possible. That would be helpful. We'll move on to item 14, continuation on our discussion. Any items listed on the 5 o'clock work session agenda. And I think the only thing we had left on there was a couple of items on here. Let's see.
Power lines.
Let's just go
Power
to
lines.
let's go to the power lines on item 4 on here. And is Alika left us as well, or did we have any other concerns or questions on the power line properties?
Won't that really kind of be involved in some of this cluster subdivision PRUD discussion? Just because really you were looking at taking the possibility of that overall development and putting it elsewhere in that same, I mean, that was part of your discussion to begin with.
You're not wrong, but there was a request to know how many
Oh, how many?
properties were under the power lines, and I believe we were emailed a drawing, a map, a plan.
Yes.
Is that something we're able to pull up and look at and review?
Okay, thank you. So I'm not sure. So we're looking at the legend on here. It looks like you've got on the general plan, the corridor in pink.
Isn't it those two red lines that go?
Alika, could you help us on something over here as well? On this power line map that was sent out?
What's your question?
So we were sent out a power line map, I guess, for the properties that are affected on here, and I'm having a hard time interpreting exactly. So maybe you could help explain.
Okay.
So you got some pink section in here, it looks like, and some, I think that's under the power line area. There's maybe not. This is over here.
I think the power lines are the two red lines that are
Yeah,
going
that's the
north and
case.
south.
Yeah, that dashed red line, that's
But
the
what
power.
properties are already,
So most of them are actually part of a development. The only 3 that aren't were outlined in the staff report. And they're zoned like A1 or A2.
So there's only 3 properties left in the city under the power lines that aren't.
That are 100% under, yeah. Mhm.
Perfect.
Is there a staff report on this?
It was emailed out. I printed it off and left it at the office today, but can we go back, Emily, to the staff report so we can read it?
Well, other than those 3,
that's not it.
there's the 7 parcels that are next to the Walmart property. They're owned by 4,100 Investments.
No, I don't think there's any more
I
on
haven't
that.
seen a staff report, so.
I didn't see comments on the map.
I have it right
Yeah,
here.
there was.
Okay.
I would like to go on record and say I don't see any pink on there at all. but that's probably just me.
Like to go on record and say he can't see a lot of colors.
But yeah, what
Colorblind.
pink are you referring to? Because I don't see it either.
I was on the other side of the pink side.
There is pink on there, and it's definite.
So is it okay if I just read this, maybe the council,
Yeah,
instead
that's
of
fine.
pass around for time's sake? It looks like, so it just gives a background of why, and the maps attached to this report. The list of properties that are not part of a larger development are owned by the power company. And it gives item description on there, the land description, and it's Privadale Family Living Trust, fully within the power easement, zone A2. And then the other one is Simico trustee Quoga. I
Yeah.
probably butchered that up pretty badly, but anyway. A portion of the west side property has the power easement running through it, and that's over by the school, isn't it, by Gainesville? We have a copy of a map up here, but
This one's more bigger.
okay.
Ryan, do your Vanna and show us.
I'd be happy to, but I can barely see it from
All the
here.
rest of this is developed.
Yeah, everything's developed except for these three.
Mhm.
Right here and here.
Yeah.
You guys good? Can I pass it around?
It also says on here that there's three, but it also says at the bottom down here, 4,100 Investments has 7 parcels that fall within that power
Yeah,
easement.
that's the area, the Walmart, basically, that whole area.
And it gives the descriptions on those.
So, I mean, that's all. I guess it can either be mixed use or commercial. But
So the Privadale one is that big blue one, right? The large blue one?
no, that one's Westwood.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And then Privadale, okay,
Mhm.
got it.
So that one's already accounted for. So really, everything else is part of a development. Those are the only 3 that aren't.
Excellent.
Or they're owned by the power company already.
All right. That's a good information for us. Thanks, Alec.
So do we have any questions about that? Concerns?
I mean, I still share that concern about limiting, further limiting property rights under those easements. So, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the clustering idea, but, if council would consider maybe removing that if we change it and make exceptions in those areas where there's large easements running through property owners. So my goal there is just to watch out for the property owners. I know there's disagreement with that, but that's my only comment.
Wouldn't the easement be the same no matter where it's at? It's always going to be the same distance no matter what property it's on?
No, I mean, all power easements are not created equal. This one definitely limits what you can do in those areas. And I know it's been brought up that we've done storage sheds and that, but if you look at most of these developments where it has been developed, there's not a lot done under the power easements. So I think the storage shed's probably the exception on being able to do something with your property under those. And so I don't think there's going to be a lot of opportunity in these zones that are left to put storage sheds or those type of things that would be low enough or that would qualify to be in those easements. That's a pretty wide easement that runs through there for the power lines.
Okay.
It also kind of follows along the canal, which is another cut through on some of these property owners. Just using the example of the property that my family used to own, we had both those running through there. We had the canal and power line easement, and it literally cut the property in half. So I feel like we're further imposing another thing that would affect values. So that's my main reasoning there.
Okay. Any other comments from the council? So this will reflect back on our general plan overall on what we're trying to accomplish. Will this have a descriptive information under these, or are we going to look at these a little bit differently? Now we know we've identified the properties. What are we going to do with that at this point? What's the next step?
I thought that was just in consideration of the ordinance that we're looking to amend or create if we had something to add there. I just wanted to know how many there are left to decide what is the impact going to be. So I thought it was just looking towards creating or amending the ordinance. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
That's something though that we need to make sure that Alaka can get to the planning commission.
Right, yeah.
So is that the direction that we're looking at this point? from
Yeah,
the
we're
council?
good to take it to planning commission, so we can have a discussion there too.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I want.
And I think you got comments from both sides, right? So you've got the comments to take in consideration from both sides of that, but that's something the planning commission can maybe bring back a recommendation on. Does that sound fair to
Yeah.
everyone?
We need to see what they say.
Yeah, I just would like those comments passed forward to the planning commission. So,
Okay, I think we accomplished that. Thank you for your help on that. Any other comments from the council on this? Does that cover everything in our meeting, our pre-meeting that we had?
I think it does.
Because we covered everything else, I think.
Were we confident on our setbacks? Do we want to say anything else? I know the final thing was to request planning commission to look at it, but
I think it's off to planning commission, isn't it?
Okay.
For review. Unless there's any other comments. Okay, we'll move on to item 15, adjournment.
So moved.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the adjournment? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, thank you everyone for your time tonight.